Let's turn to events in Iran because the Supreme Leader has accused anti-government demonstrators of seeking to please Donald Trump. So Keir Starmer has issued a joint statement calling for restraint from Tehran following reports at least 62 people have died during the unrest. We can speak now to Dr. Ahmed Khuzaie, a Bahraini political analyst and commentator specialising in broader Middle Eastern and Arab affairs. Morning to you. How fragile do you think the regime in Tehran is currently?
Good morning, James. Well, if we're talking about how fragile the regime is, it's not that fragile as people are hoping or are suspecting. It will take a lot more to do to bring it down. Today, yes, there are lots of demonstrations. We can't compare them to the same demonstrations that brought down the previous regime in '79. They're still a bit smaller. As well, if we're talking about how strong the regime is, it's still very powerful. It is estimated that they have about 610,000 armed personnel that are not yet deployed to the streets. So they still have a breathing space.
And do you think they will deploy those armed personnel? Because Donald Trump has been very clear. He's used the language of "we are locked and loaded" if the regime turns its fire on these protesters.
Which makes the Iranian regime tasting a bit of their own medicine that they made the rest of the Middle East taste over the past at least 45 years. Yes, no regime will come down without fighting, especially a tyrant one like the one we have in Iran today. So, yes, they will have to deploy them if they feel that it's about time for them to do so, because so far, yes, they are being weakened, but they are not that weak yet.
Is this, I take the point you make that it's probably not as fragile as many of the opponents of the regime would like to think. But is this the closest we have come since 1979 to the regime being overthrown?
No, not yet, actually. A few years ago, I remember there were ones in 2005. There were others after 2011, briefly. And then we have the ones here. I'm not underestimating them. They are powerful, they are strong, especially in the territories. If we're talking about the territory known as Arabstan, that was basically annexed by Iran around 100 years ago. Yes, this is the most powerful one. And Baluchistan as well, who are trying to basically reform their own country. It's a bit powerful. But when it comes to the ones in Tehran, I'm not saying it's unprecedented, but it's powerful. I'm not underestimating anything here.
Donald Trump has suggested that Ayatollah Khomeini might try to flee the country if things get really serious. Where would he go? Would he go to Russia?
Well, these are, from my point of view, of course. I'm not talking with information. I'm talking from a background. This is not Syria. This is not Yemen. This is not Afghanistan. Iran is different. It's much well established. It's much powerful, and they still have a fighting thrust in them. It won't go that easy. So when it comes to him fleeing, well, I don't see that as a big probability.
And in terms of sort of his rhetoric, the Ayatollah's rhetoric, he was on television yesterday, I believe, accusing the protesters of being troublemakers and saying that they want to please the president of the US. Does that tactic work? Does making this a kind of Iran versus the US thing, does that work for the regime?
This is propaganda. Basically, the Iranian regime has been promoting this propaganda all over. I come from a country called Bahrain. Ever since 2011, especially, we started having a huge Arab Spring uprising backed by the Iranian regime. And the same rhetoric was used by the Iranians against Bahrain, saying that the Bahrainis want their freedom and all that, neglecting the fact that they were supporting them. That's why I said in the beginning that Iran finally is tasting its own medicine.
And just finally, do you expect these protests to grow further?
Yes, definitely. And just to add one last note in the subject, if the government will go down, it won't go down just by protests. And if we see it go down, we'll see it go down with a big support from other countries. It won't just go down based on the protest alone.
So it might need foreign intervention. It might need the US getting involved even.
One way or another. If for example, the West does not recognize these protesters, it won't go further and it won't be more powerful and won't have a bigger stance. It is because of the international recognition. It will go further with further recognition.
Dr. Ahmed Khuzaie, really appreciate your time. Bahraini political analyst and commentator specialising in broader Middle Eastern and Arab affairs. I do get the sense that the story in Iran is far from over. We will keep you across it here on LBC.